Aloha from the beautiful big island of Hawaii. My name is Kori Gaila and this is Let's Talk About Health. I'm so happy you've decided to join me again this week. We will be discussing, we have a few things happening today. We're going to be discussing natural pain management, which is very exciting. I also have a wonderful guest coming to visit me today. My dear friend and colleague Ilona will be here. She is a Hawaiian cultural practitioner. So I'm very excited to have her here. She's a very amazing Lomi practitioner. Lomi is a form of Hawaiian massage. She also practices La'au and Ho'oponopono. La'au is herbal medicine, in Hawaiian herbal medicine, and Ho'oponopono is a Hawaiian form of therapy and counseling. So she's going to be discussing a number of these traditional healing practices with us today. So I'm very, very excited to have her on. So we're going to go ahead and get started a little bit with natural pain management. So if you don't know about me, one of my first careers, I've had a few different careers over my lifetime. One of my first careers was as a massage therapist. Now I grew up learning about massage therapy. My grandmother was from Eastern Europe and she was a massage therapist. And, she actually had a beauty salon, but she also was a massage therapist. She practiced some herbal and natural medicine. Both of my grandmothers did. And so that's kind of where I got my start with massage a very long time ago. And so I have experience with natural pain management. I was working for about 4 years in a clinic that deals specifically with pain management. It was a pain clinic, and we did have a staff with 2 chiropractors, 2 MDs, several massage therapists, and an acupuncturist. And we worked particularly, or actually only with accident and injury patients. So we were working with individuals in acute pain situations. They'd have an accident, they would go to the hospital and then come to us. And we would go ahead and give them a pain management program and care for their pain. So we might, as massage therapists, we were working to help relieve the pain having to do with areas around the injury. So we just worked as this amazing team and really tried to provide excellent care and help people with natural pain management, right? So when you do go to the hospital, you have one of these like acute injuries, you break your arm, you break your leg, you're in a car accident, you're just a mess. One of the things you might be prescribed is oxycodone, and I know that is kind of a big buzzword now because we are having a major opioid crisis in our country right now. So I wanted to address this a bit because it is powerful medication and it is good, for those acute situations for a very short period of time, but it's highly addictive. So individuals who are recovering from addiction, alcohol addiction, drug addiction, are probably not good candidates for this pain reliever, but it does have its place in medicine, right? It does have its place if you've got a big accident and you've got 2 broken legs and you're just in excruciating pain. I know that I recently broke my finger in a freak surfing accident and ended up having to have surgery and my bone put back together, and it wasn't pleasant. I was prescribed oxycodone, but I did not actually take it. Had a little bit of wine the day after, once all the anesthesia wore off, and I think I might have had an ibuprofen, but I try to avoid pain medication at all costs. But I do know a lot of breathing techniques and natural pain techniques, natural pain management techniques. So yeah, pain is just another interesting sensation in our body. So I've learned to work with it. I'm an athlete, I love big wave surfing, and I was a dancer for a lot of years, and all of those things do come with their share of injuries. So over the years, I did really build up my pain threshold, my pain tolerance, and that is something that you can do over time, learn to tolerate more. You don't want too much pain, right? It's the body's alert system, pain. But we can have things happen. We can breathe through them. We can work through our pain. What you don't want to do is get into a situation where you're chronically on, for these chronic pain conditions, where you're on something like an oxycodone for an extended period of time. It's very, very dangerous. So it's opioid, obviously, so it's derived from the poppy, from opium poppy. Sometimes it will be combined with ibuprofen or aspirin. It's a sedative, and it works on the opiate receptors of the brain, and what it does is it triggers a huge release of dopamine, and dopamine was one of those neurotransmitters we talked about last week, right? The neurotransmitters, it's the feel-good neurotransmitter, and it's the brain's reward system. What happens over a prolonged period of time, however, is that this huge amount of dopamine in the brain, the brain gets a little bit lazy and it stops producing its own dopamine, right? And that's where we get into this area where you need to be careful, where you can be running into issues with addiction. So it used to be used mainly for cancer patients. And in 1999, late 1990s, really there was approval for use for pain, beyond just for cancer care, for opioids, right? So it was mostly for cancer. But the Joint Commission on Accreditation of Healthcare Organization claimed that there was no evidence that addiction is a significant issue when persons are given opioids for pain control. Now, that was a false claim that was made in the late 90s, and then that claim was backed by the for-profit makers of OxyContin. So that was a false claim. It is very highly addictive, as we know, and it's really hard to get off of if you are suffering from addiction. There's been a really huge surge, actually deaths since 1999 from opioids have quadrupled. So withdrawal symptoms from opioids can be really intense: sweating, chills, nausea, vomiting, muscle cramps, aches and pains, dehydration, itching, my handwriting, sorry, headaches, restlessness, anxiety and paranoia, and rapid heartbeat, okay? And oftentimes, if you become addicted, you have to go on to methadone to get off of, opioid drugs. So it's really this big, dark, miserable, can become miserable battle. So again, medications used for their purpose, for an acute condition, you're suffering, but then you need to get into, from that, you want to move into something that's more to help you manage your pain long term, because you don't want to have to be on these things for an extended period of time because of the long term use effects on your health and potential for addiction. Okay, and again, the oxycodone is a Schedule II controlled substance, so it is a controlled substance, and that is, for your protection. And okay, so moving on, ibuprofen. Ibuprofen used to be considered to be fairly benign. It's an anti-inflammatory. It's a NSAID, so it's a non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. So it's often prescribed, like if you're having dental work done, or you have, it's commonly used for menstrual cramps. But there was a recent study that has linked ibuprofen to increased risk of heart attack. According to the Daily Mail in the UK, quote, taking painkillers for just 1 week raises the risk of heart attack, end quote. And that was in reference to non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs specifically. So that would include ibuprofen. There always was a warning label that did state that you don't want to have more than 2 alcoholic beverages if you're using ibuprofen, because it does tax the liver. So not only does it put strain and stress on your liver, it also increases your chance for heart attack, okay? So looking at anti-inflammatory, so what is inflammation? the body swells, you have an injury, there's swelling, right? That's actually a protection reaction from the body, right? To protect the area. You break a bone, it swells, it kind of holds everything in place, right? But that inflammation also pushes on those nerve endings, right? So it sends those signals to the brain. We have your central nervous system. I'm going to show you a diagram of it in a minute. But you have your brain, you have your spinal cord, these nerves going through the spinal cord, that's the central nervous system. Then you have your peripheral nervous system, which is your nerves that come out from your spine. And then you have all these nerve endings, right, on the tips of your fingers, all throughout your body for all of your sensations, right, for your touch sensation, your pain sensation. You hit that nerve, it triggers the brain, you feel pain, right? So it's protective. You go to touch a hot stove, you pull your hand away, it's protecting you, right? There's a purpose for it. But inflammation can push on these nerve endings and then cause a chronic pain situation, right? So anti-inflammatories can really help with chronic pain conditions, right? They help reduce the inflammation. That helps reduce the pain. However, we're looking at these anti-inflammatory medications, and although they're very good, like you go in, you're getting your wisdom teeth pulled out, well, that can help take down the inflammation. You don't want to be suffering, but again, it's not really something that you should be used for an extended period of time, right? So, one of my favorites that I personally use, I said I have, history of being an athlete, dancer, surfer, lots of injuries over time. One of the things that I use to help manage my own pain is turmeric. Okay, turmeric is considered an anti-inflammatory. According to the Mayo Clinic, curcumin, that's the yellow part, right, that's found in turmeric has anti-inflammatory properties, making it a potential treatment for a number of health conditions, including from a study done, including reduced pain and increased ease of movement in people with osteoarthritis. One study found that taking turmeric extract 3 times daily was comparable to taking 1,200 milligram dose of ibuprofen daily. So again, there was one study that found that taking turmeric extract 3 times daily was comparable to taking 1,200 milligram dose of ibuprofen daily. And generally, you don't want to take more than 800, I think is what the doctor will prescribe for ibuprofen for a very extreme condition is 800 milligrams. Usually you're taking 200. I mean, that's a high dose, right? And so that's just in turmeric, which is a root, which I don't know if I'll talk about today, but in Hawaii, turmeric is called olena, and it is used in many Hawaiian la'au or herbal remedies. Turmeric or olena, which it's very, very popular in Ayurveda too, which is from India. Olena or turmeric, again from India. It's in most Ayurvedic formulas. I don't want to get into Ayurveda today. But it's a canoe plant, considered a canoe plant, what is traditionally thought as a canoe plant, which means that it was brought to Hawaii by the Polynesians in the canoes. It was such a valuable medicine for them that they did transport it via canoe when they came and first settled the Hawaiian Islands. So that is a big part of their la'au, their Hawaiian herbal medicine, turmeric. So I use it all the time. Okay, so getting into aspirin. Aspirin is a blood thinner. A lot of people with heart conditions are recommended to take aspirin, right, for the blood thinning, right? But it's also considered to be a pain reliever. Now, going into Western herbs, right, because I have a background in Western herbs as well, white willow bark is a natural form of salicin. Okay, so it's not salicylic acid, but it's salicin. Salicin is the precursor to salicylic acid. Salicylic acid is aspirin. So it is, your body metabolizes it into salicylic acid. So traditionally, white willow bark is used in a lot of herbal tinctures for pain remedies. And I do hope to have a guest on my show who's gonna show us how to make some tinctures. Usually you're extracting your herbs into an alcohol, right? That alcohol, which we don't want to use lots of, right? But in small amounts, you can extract herbs into that alcohol, and then it does go straight into the bloodstream. So a white willow bark tincture is very similar to aspirin. It is not salicylic acid, it is not aspirin, but it does contain a lot of salicin, which is a precursor to salicylic acid and is found in a lot of traditional practitioners' remedies for pain. Now, we did speak a little bit about aromatherapy last week, and so I do want to bring up wintergreen. Now, wintergreen can be toxic in high doses. It's not usually recommended to be used internally, but wintergreen, because it is a blood thinner, just like aspirin, right? And it can be toxic, but it is 96 to 99% salicylated. Salicylates. Sorry, I don't have my glasses, and I'm having trouble with contacts, but I don't want to put my glasses on. Well, maybe I will. Maybe I'll wear them once, but so I'm getting used to contacts, so bear with me. But the salicylates, so they can be toxic and have side effects if you're using internally. But that being said, right? So I'm a massage therapist, and oftentimes we use oils, right, on the body for massage. So sometimes the essential oil of wintergreen is really nice. A lot of times, like if you go to a Chinese herbal store, if you pick up some of the analgesic balms, that smell, that wintergreen smell, that is actually wintergreen essential oil. Okay, so it can help topically for pain, but again, it can be toxic, right? So you don't want high doses, you probably don't want to take it internally. You want to research anything that I bring up to you, you want to do your own research, right? So I don't recommend, I don't prescribe, I don't make claims. I tell you the ingredients, I can tell you the active ingredients, I do research, I follow up with research and recent studies, I can inform you of studies, I can inform you of dangers of certain medications. But anything that you want to incorporate into your own life, really, I really encourage you to do your own research. I mean, the internet is amazing, and you can find so many things there. So you can be working with a health practitioner and doing your own research to see if these things might be right for you. If you find something, it's not a bad plan to take that information to your doctor, take that information to your naturopath, take that information to your chiropractor, your acupuncturist, whomever you're choosing to work with. Acupuncture, chiropractic massage has been shown to be very effective for chronic pain conditions. I'm getting into chiropractic, okay? So again, we're talking about the central nervous system, we're talking about the brain, we're talking about the spine, the nerves that are going through the spine, and then from the spine you have the peripheral nervous system that goes out, and you have all of these nerves, these pain points in your body, but you have your vertebra, your spine, and I am going to have them go ahead and put up a diagram for me so you can take a look. But the idea behind chiropractic is that you can be in an accident, you can have a whiplash injury, your neck flies forward, your back gets thrown off, you get twisted, and then what happens is that joint, that vertebra, slightly shifts, right? Just that slight shift is called a subluxation. And that subluxation can push on those nerve endings and cause pain, right? So you can be getting pain in that way. And also the theory behind chiropractic is that now you have a diminished transport system, I would say, for information. The nerves bring information to the central nervous system, goes into the brain for processing that information. So not only can you have pain at that point of that subluxation, but now you have like a diminished communication system between the nerves, the spine, the spinal cord, right, and the brain. So the theory and the idea behind chiropractic is that if you put that back in place where it's supposed to be, you have a better flow of information to the brain, but you're also taking the pressure off of those nerves that is causing the pain. Something I see often with individuals with chronic pain in neck, low back, people I work with for massage therapy is this terrible, terrible reverse curve in the cervical spine, that's your neck, and the lumbar spine, that's your low back, and that is so much from terrible posture, right? So yoga exercises to really retrain that cervical curve on the spine, that lumbar curve. There's yoga postures, right? There's cobra, there's cat-cow. These help to retrain and reshape those very, very vital curves in your spinal cord, right? In your vertebra. The muscles learn and then it holds the body. So you have that posture. So posture is very, very important for managing and maintaining a healthy body that has less pain, okay? So that cervical curve, that lumbar curve, those curves are formed when we're babies. So tummy time is when we lift our head as babies. We're laying on our belly and we lift our head. We're forming that curve. Lumbar curvature is formed when we're crawling around. That lumbar spine goes down. So we want to, as we age, there's a tendency to roll forward, or we're on the desk and we're working like this, right, all the time. But we want to really work on that so that we're not pinching off those nerves, pinching off these nerves. Keeping that spine elongated is going to take pressure off those nerves and reduce pain. So I think we're going to go ahead and have a break and hear from our sponsors, and we'll be back right after the break.
Many people are searching for answers to health challenges. There are natural solutions for a healthy and empowered lifestyle that can be delivered right to your door. Email Carol at carolbirchwell.com and type Health with Kori in the subject line to receive a free ebook on essential oils. Visit carolbirchwell.com and connect with Carol via email for your free ebook. She will help you find the natural solutions that work specifically for you.
Okay, welcome back. Before we left for the break, we were discussing chiropractic. Massage therapy is what my trade is. So again, it's that inflammation, right? That's pushing on the nerves with massage. There can be adhesions, which can be, you can have micro tears, you can have little injuries in there, some scar tissue. That's where you get those real lumpy feelings. That can be lactic acid, a little bit of lactic acid built up from chronic use of those muscles. But when you get that real like sinewy tightness, those are called adhesions, and massage can kind of break up those adhesions and get that blood flowing again and help alleviate some of that, right? Because those adhesions, again, anything that's tight and pressing on the nerves is going to cause pain. Again, lactic acid is something that's released while we're exercising. Lactic acid can also push on. That would be that immediate pain. So one thing I personally use after a workout is I'll take bromelain, which is a simple little enzyme that comes from a pineapple. But that bromelain digests the excess lactic acid in the tissues. Stretching is going to help reduce that. That's right after a workout or prolonged use. Or maybe you're tense because you're on the computer all day, right? So this, like that tension in there is from overuse of those muscles, right? From holding that same posture all day long on your keyboard, looking down, But again, inflammation is really the kind of main thing we're looking at when we're looking at muscle pain and muscle tension. So we want to reduce that inflammation. So again, that would be turmeric. The last thing that I want to speak to you today about is something that I love and I use regularly, and that would be pulsed electromagnetic frequency. The FDA did clear it for pain and edema. So it's a mild electric magnetic current, and it can help slow and kind of slow down and in some instances stop the release of pain and inflammatory reaction. I don't know about stop, but it definitely slow down and ease that. I don't know. That is, I'm quoting that, and I'm not sure I like that quote, but definitely it can reduce that. There was a randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical trial of a low-frequency magnetic field in treatment of musculoskeletal pain, and that study showed promise and did show that that was effective in chronic pain, fibromyalgia, and chronic musculoskeletal pain. So that again is something that I use. It's a pulsed electromagnetic frequency therapy, PEMF. You can research that on your own. Again, you can ask your doctor about it. I know that PEMF, pulsed electromagnetic frequency, is used in clinics in Europe. Yeah, and I know that that was one of the things that we used in our pain clinic. And again, there was a very promising study that was a double-blind study that did show that it aided quite a bit in pain reduction for those chronic conditions, chronic pain conditions like fibromyalgia, osteoarthritis, old injuries, right? You can have old injuries that can just flare up, tendinitis, right? Tennis elbow, things like that. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break, and when we get back, I am going to bring on my guest, Ilona.
Many people are searching for answers to health challenges. There are natural solutions for a healthy and empowered lifestyle that can be delivered right to your door. Email Carol at carolbirchwell.com and type Health with Kori in the subject line to receive a free ebook on essential oils. Visit carolbirchwell.com and connect with Carol via email for your free ebook. She will help you find the natural solutions that work specifically for you.
Okay, welcome back to Let's Talk About Health with Kori Gaila. I am here with my beautiful guest, Ilona Eli. Aloha.
Aloha, thank you for having me.
I'm so happy to have you here. So I just want to note, we do have our COVID epidemic. Ilona and I live in the same community. We used to work together in a beautiful spa on the Kohala Coast, like they call it like the Hawaiian Riviera, beautiful white sand beaches, and we've been in touch. And so I just wanted to let you know that we are here in Hawaii practicing really good sanitation. We're wearing our masks in public. All of our public buildings require masks, and our spa has been closed since the end of March. So it gives us lots of time to catch up and do wonderful things together.
I know, it's quite nice.
It's nice.
Spend time without work.
Without work, with different kinds of work. So that's what I want to talk with you about with you today.
Okay.
Ilona is my beautiful Hawaiian friend. She's a Hawaiian cultural practitioner. As you know, I'm a massage therapist, and we met in the spa where we work together. And Ilona is also a massage therapist, and she is very well known for her Lomi Lomi massage, which is a Hawaiian form of Lomi. And she's going to talk a little bit about some aspects of being a Hawaiian cultural practitioner, natural healing, work with traditional Hawaiian medicine.
Yes.
So I'd love to know, tell me a little bit about what island were you born on? Where did you grow up?
I was born and raised on Oahu, but my father was from Molokai.
Okay.
And so we spent a lot of our childhood going back and forth to the island, and I became familiar with my family there, which was really good for me later on, because while I was growing up, my father was teaching me a lot about healing, and that was through the lomi lomi. Lomi lomi actually means to soften. Yeah, and now it's become that, a massage. But when we think of massage to soften, so you're stiff at the end of the day, you worked hard all day, and you want something to just bring you back to homeostasis, or that neutral place where you no longer are in pain.
Right.
So,
So lots of hard labor, traditionally in Hawaiian
Yes.
culture, lots of farming, like kalo, taro, right?
And my father had, when he came over from Molokai, he had his own company that he had started, a trucking company. And so he would come home really tired. And none of my brothers and sisters, I'm the middle child of 5.
Wow.
And nobody else was interested in giving him a massage or walking on his back, but I was. So that's really how I got picked, was I was interested in doing it. So he encouraged me to walk on his back, which is part of traditional healing. They call it lomi au, when you walk on the back. And then the other parts of lomi lomi was with hands, touching. There's a spiritual part of prayer, pule, that you do. And all of those things came later on in my life through mentors, teachers, kumu, as we call them.
Kumu, what does kumu mean?
Teacher.
Oh, okay.
Means
Okay.
teacher. So I learned a lot of different modalities and different methods from these different teachers. One of the ones that I would like to highlight is my Auntie Marie Place, who is no longer with us, but she left her legacy of Ho'oponopono, which is part of the cultural healing practices of Hawaii. And she was well known on the island of Molokai for her healing plants. La'au, lapa'au
Would be healing plants. So like
Healing
herbal
plants.
medicine, but la'au
Yeah.
in Hawaii.
Yeah.
I know I've studied a little bit of la'au, but probably not to the extent. I mean, you grew up with it.
Right.
So
So you had a combination of, sometimes you have an illness that is created because of emotions that are stuck inside of you. And so the practitioner will not only bring to you medicine, but bring to you that spiritual healing for you to assist you in releasing that stuff that's all caught up.
So like would kind of be considered more like an ancient cultural form of like, say, psychology, like counseling. I don't want to say psychology, but in the same way, counseling, talking, working through those emotions so that you don't get sick, right?
Sure.
You're going through a lot of, we talked about grief last week.
Right.
So if you're going through a lot of grieving, it's just very good to have somebody to talk to. And it sounds as though like traditional Ho'oponopono is a way to, I've heard the term kuka. You bring it to the table, you
Yeah.
talk, kuka, you talk about it. But if you have someone who's facilitating that Ho'oponopono, it's with the intention of healing whatever is causing friction or trouble. So even can be like a mentor, I mean a mediator is what I meant to say. If you were having conflict in a family, would you would call in someone to help with Ho'oponopono?
Oh yeah, that's pretty ancient, old. That nowadays, what I see happening is that they have moved so far away, and they've gone into these other, psychoanalysts and all of that. When the way that I look at it is, sometimes if a person is having emotional problems, that doesn't require heavy medication because of, that they have very serious issues. We have the benefit of modern medicine now also
Yes.
to combine with healing methods of
Correct.
cultural practitioners. I mean, it's a wonderful, brilliant world that is available. I say don't get rid of the old cultural practices, incorporate them into the new. And I know that a lot of doctors who are connected with Big Pharma won't like what I'm saying because, they want to make all the money, but this is more than money. This is more than money. This is about people, and if we're caring for one another, I think that's the most important thing, is that we can care for each other in a way that is supportive, bringing natural medicines so that people don't start getting reactions to everything that's going on in their lives and finding fault in the practitioner or in modern medicine,
Good points, good points.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you on that. Well, of course, it's part of my life too, and that's why I'm here today.
Yes, and you are a great practitioner yourself. I've had the benefit of Kori's healings, and they are wonderful. She's a wonderful teacher.
Well, and ditto. I've had both of those hands on me too.
Many people are searching for answers to health challenges. There are natural solutions for a healthy and empowered lifestyle that can be delivered right to your door. Email Carol at carolbirchwell.com and type Health with Kori in the subject line to receive a free ebook on essential oils. Visit carolbirchwell.com and connect with Carol via email for your free ebook. She will help you find the natural solutions that work specifically for you.
Okay, so I appreciate you saying that. And so speaking a little bit about massage and specifically Lomi Lomi, tell me a little bit about the history of Lomi Lomi and differences, because I know there's different styles of Lomi Lomi. You can go and you can, have a Lomi massage, ask for a Lomi massage, but there's a lot of different types of Lomi.
There's all kinds of Lomi Lomi, and it's really beautiful that in our world, in the world of the Hawaiian healer, that everything has opened up, so to speak, and we were never meant, I don't feel that we were ever meant to hold back on learning or teaching. So if we learn, the more we learn, that we can incorporate into the way that the Lomi Lomi is done. Now, back in the old days, it really originated from the taro patches.
So I was saying kalo. Kalo is another word for taro.
Right.
And what traditional dish from kalo, taro, and you hear about poi. I think that's something you might, if you ever come to Hawaii or ever visit Hawaii, usually you go to a luau and there's poi. But it was the staple food. It is the staple food of traditional Hawaii. It is. It was the first food I gave my son. My son was born here in Hawaii, and it is one of the things that Hawaiians give their baby. The first food you give your baby is poi.
So, it started from the taro patches, really grueling, hard work, pulling taro, and you have to kick it over. Well, there's a whole way of working in the taro patch. And it's strenuous work. So at the end of the day, simple things. I would say that all massage kind of just centered around the fact that somebody was achy or sore, and they said to someone else, "Oh, it really hurts here," and the other person, being empathetic, put their hands on them
So as long as
and said, "Oh, here, let me do this." And then they said, That feels good.
So good. Keep going.
Yeah, keep going. So then you keep on. And then over time, curiosity, wanting to learn what the groups of muscles were, wanting to understand how to do things better. Practitioners really started looking at, but the Hawaiians were always interested in human anatomy and physiology. So in funeral practice, when the bodies were dried, and the bones and all of that, so they were able to study
see inside
and see inside.
Understand the mechanics and how everything was working. And so later then it evolved.
Yes,
based on that.
absolutely.
It became like
And
a whole form of
lot-
medicine, right?
Right, and a lot of knowledge was hands-on learned.
Yes.
And then within different family groups, now the Hawaiians lived in different ohana and
Ohana means
families.
Family, right?
Families, so there would be a valley, a large valley where there was a healer in that valley, and that was the person in that family that everybody would go to see. You know, it's very basic. And now, these days, people come from all over the world to learn different styles of lomi lomi. Well, there are different families through it, like I said, throughout Hawaii that had different methods of healing, different ways of doing what they do. And I wouldn't say that any one way is better than the other.
Different.
They're different.
There's multiple modalities of massage in
all
all traditions.
very wonderful, very
Right.
wonderful. I remember once I had a home on Molokai, and I had a couple who came to me, and they called me up and they said, "Oh, Ilona, we really want to come and sample your lomi lomi." I said, "Oh, please do." And they came to my house. I had a lanai on the ocean, and I did body work on both of them, did lomi lomi. And when they were done, they said, "You know, we've had 6 different kinds of lomi lomi so far."
6.
And they said, "We can't compare. Each one
They're
is
so
unique."
very unique. And so I studied Auntie Margaret's style of lomi, which was here on the Big Island.
And Margaret Machado, yes.
Yes, and she used to teach down by Kealakekua, right on the beach. She had a little space on the corner side of the island. She passed a few years ago. Sadly, but she was an amazing kumu.
Yeah, she was, and you know, she was a rarity because she was a state recognized instructor, whereas most of the Hawaiians that teach lomi lomi don't go that far. They have workshops at their homes where they invite people to come, or people ask them, they pay a fee, and they come and they learn that lomi lomi.
Yes, and I learned my la'au that way. You know, a little hale, Hawaiian house, hale, in volcano in the forest, in the rainforest, and I did study some, my la'au there, and then la'au fish and ocean medicine in the ocean by Puako.
Yeah.
But again, Ilona has had many more years. I haven't studied Hawaiian a little bit. I have my little bit of Hawaiian. I blend it with my other healing.
Hawaii, yes.
Well, it's beautiful to have some Hawaii for sure. And then, real briefly before we say goodbye today, so la'au, again la'au, apa'au, and that is the Hawaiian plant medicine, so herbs and medicine.
Right.
And again, lomi, right? So often with hands-on, often with the coconut oil and kukui nut oil, traditionally, right? With kukui nut oil. And then blending some of these la'au. And on the show today, really, our main kind of theme for the show is really natural pain management. And so I know for myself, massage is a huge part of helping with pain relief. But I know we were talking earlier about awa, or kava, you hear kava, ava.
Yeah, we call it ava.
Tahitian it is.
Yeah.
Kava.
So if you're going to incorporate ava into your lomi lomi work, there's a specific way that I do it that I don't end up getting the benefits of the ava.
The ava bowl will definitely it will calm you down. You'll get very relaxed. It's very like a mild sedative. It's great for anxiety and stress.
Right.
But for pain, it definitely has an analgesic property to it.
Yes.
So how would you, well, I don't want to give away your secrets, but now are you saying you use it topically or you give it to someone internally?
You can use it topically.
Wow.
For if someone fell down and they really bruised the muscle, and you want something that's going to get in that area and
Quick that pain, yeah. So does it help with the inflammation as well, or is it
yes,
just,
so you would apply it like a poultice.
okay,
You
know, you would put that, and that's a big leaf, right? It's a
Right.
beautiful. I wish we had one. I don't
Or
know, I
a
didn't think to bring one.
leaf. A noni leaf.
Noni
is
for
also,
pain.
yeah, is
Really?
also good. Yeah.
Okay, well we could have bring some of those leaves. I should have brought
Or
those.
tea leaf
You know,
for
maybe I'll
headache.
have you back
You know
another
tea
time.
leaf?
Yes,
You can
tea leaf.
twirl it and just wrap it around your head when you're having a headache.
Tea leaf, really?
Tea leaf.
Now I haven't. That's a new one. I haven't heard about that. I haven't. I know. I love to. I think you wrap up. You wrap your. Not your lala. You don't wrap your lala. with tea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I didn't know.
A lot of things get done
Lala
with tea.
is
A food.
a food.
Is a
like
package, a gift package of wonderful deliciousness.
It's just delicious. It's delicious.
It's filled with luau leaf and butterfish and pork.
Oh no.
Or
What
chicken
would you say?
if you don't eat pork.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. Very good. Oh no means delicious. So, you know what, and that gives me an idea, and I'd love to have you maybe come back again sometime, and maybe some of these plants we've talked about, you know, maybe we can bring them, show them. Noni is, like you mentioned noni, I take noni as a regular tonic for healing, because it's really cleansing, and
I do
you know.
too. I drink it on a regular basis.
I do
It's really
too.
good for the intestines and just
fighting
keeping-
any kind of
inflammation.
They would say, traditionally, you would say, or I would use it for, like, you know, also just going in the ocean. I like to surf, right? And I mention that a lot. But, you know, really kind of gives you a little extra bit of protection when you're out there from, I mean, you know, there's a lot of bacteria in our ocean, a lot of things, you know, it kind of.
But not
boosts
anymore.
you.
Ever since COVID started, I mean, the beaches are beautiful. We should be at the beach doing this
I think
right
we're
now.
going to go to the beach. What do you
Yeah,
think?
we should do
Let's just
that.
go to the beach.
Yes, let's go to the beach.
So I think we're going to leave and we're going to go to the beach. It's a beautiful
Why
day.
not?
All right. Thank you so much for joining me
It's
today.
been my
Ilona.
pleasure.
It's been-
Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Many people are searching for answers to health challenges. There are natural solutions for a healthy and empowered lifestyle that can be delivered right to your door. Email Carol at carolbirchwell.com and type Health with Kori in the subject line to receive a free ebook on essential oils. Visit carolbirchwell.com and connect with Carol via email for your free ebook. She will help you find the natural solutions that work specifically for you.
Okay, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you found this useful. I hope that you found this helpful. I hope that some of these tips can work for you. And again, go ahead, follow up with your care practitioner. See if any of these things might be right for you. Until I see you again next week, take good care. Stay happy, stay healthy. Aloha.